Hi, I'm Natalie Jill, fat loss expert turned high performance coach. When odds are stacked against us, how do we shift and create everything from nothing? How do we level up when we aren't feeling it yet or we've had a big setback? On this podcast, I'll be talking to some of the most inspiring and courageous men and women on this planet who at their worst learned how to achieve success greater than they ever dreamed possible, leveling up and creating everything from nothing. In just 18 months, Austin Netzley built a 7-figure business from nothing. He's helped clients generate over 100 million and counting. How did he do this? Well, he found his calling. You see, like many, Austin was a workaholic. He was all work all the time, pushing over 100 hours a week, hustling as a way of life. He couldn't sleep. He had no time for himself, and he felt he wasn't fully living. He knew this, but it took a trip to the emergency room after a super scary panic attack to turn his whole life around. After taking an 18-month sabbatical to heal and figure things out, his vision came to him. And today, he's the founder and CEO of 2X, a company specializing in helping 6- and 7-figure entrepreneurs more than double their business with less stress in less than 90 days. And he does this by helping them focus and create a systematic, scalable business. Join in today and learn exactly how Austin Netzley leveled up and created everything from nothing. Today, I'm so excited to talk to Austin Netzley. What's incredible about him, he's got a big journey here, but what's really incredible is that he started a business last year that's already at 7 figures and it's just exploding. And he helps business owners get free. But clearly, most people that help people get free weren't always free themselves. So Austin, thanks for being here. I can't wait to dive in and see how you did this and who you were before all of this.
Yeah, Natalie, I'm just so excited to be here. We're going to talk about some great things. So excited to get into it.
Amazing. So take us back, Austin. You mentioned before we started recording that you were at one time just this completely overworked, stressed out person. Like so many people listening can relate. So who were you then? What were you doing? Were you running a business? Were you in corporate? Who were you then?
I was doing both. I was trying to do it all, live a 20-something a single lifestyle as well. So I was in the corporate world and I grew up. That's all I knew. But then a couple years in, I learned, hey, I'm in a system here, and learned about this thing called entrepreneurship. So I started doing a little bit of entrepreneurship on the side and started to build my first business. And I went all in. So I was working a full-time job while trying to build this.
Now, were they in similar fields? Like what was your corporate deal? What were you doing for corporate and what was the side thing?
So I went to school to be a mechanical engineer, and I had this whole vision and three-pronged strategy of how I was going to work my way up the corporate ladder and be a CEO of a large company.
Okay.
So I was going to get my engineering degree, go and get some sales experience, and then get an MBA, go back to school, get an MBA. And that was going to, along with some years and hard work, take me up the corporate ladder. So everything was on schedule. I was in sales, being an engineer. I went and worked for a big oil company that took us out of engineering and put us into technical sales so that we could, get comfortable talking with clients and whatnot. So I love this company, love the program, the development program that I was in, and I was in sales, and it was a very easy role, and I was able to manage it for like 4 hours a day most of the time. So I started golfing a ton and learned that I hate golf. I was literally golfing every day, every afternoon. I was like, wait a minute, I hate golf. Like,
what were you doing that for? Was it something to do with clients or was it?
No, it was just for fun because I could manage the sales from my phone and I could do it all in the morning, and I just had all this free time. So I started, this is before I started my business. I was just golfing every day on this really nice course, which would be a dream for a lot of people. And I was just like, wait, this sucks. Like, I'm not having fun. I don't like golf. So long story short, I was like, okay, either A, I just really live an amazing lifestyle and party a lot and date and, enjoy, I was like 24 at the time, and do that. Or I use my mind and I do something with that. And I picked the latter and I started, dabbling in day trading. And then I got heavy into it and ultimately created my own algorithm, automated it, and built that up. And that was my first business.
Wow.
So this thing consumed me. And I was working more on my quote unquote side business than I was in my full-time job. And I was making a lot of money. So I was making 6 figures in my corporate job,
right,
as an engineer. And I was making 6 figures from this automated program, but it was still so stressful. And I was doing both of these things while trying to live an amazing lifestyle and travel and party and do some different things. And even though I was, running marathons and super healthy and I played college football and I would go to the doctor and they'd tell me that I was in amazing shape and everything. My body was like just going through so much turmoil and stress, and I wasn't sleeping very well. I was eating Costco burritos to save a minute here or there because I needed to work. I needed to, be on the markets. I needed to do these different things. And ultimately my body crashed. So the first time this happened, I was 25 years old. I had a, quote unquote successful a career, successful side business. Was traveling, had a great lifestyle, but my body crashed. I was in Athens, Georgia at the time, and I couldn't breathe or sleep. Every time I would nod off to sleep, I would gasp up on the bed, just like trying to suck in air. It was crazy. So my body's going through an anxiety attack, right?
Did you know it was an anxiety attack when that was happening?
No, I thought I was dying. I had no idea what it was. Never experienced anything remotely close to this. And I was with two of my buddies. And finally, after going through this, like I was just delirious, like just so tired and falling off to sleep and then just gasping up for breath.
Yeah.
Doing this for several times, I just like gave in and admitted defeat and woke up my two buddies that were in the same hotel area as me and said, hey, you guys got to call 911. I don't know what's happening here, but I feel like I'm dying.
And when you're having an anxiety attack, because I've had that before, it's like once you get in your head that something's wrong or you're dying, it like makes it that much worse because you're really anxious, right?
Exactly. And it wouldn't stop. Like I just kept going. Like I was just like, okay, breathe. And I'm a very naturally calm person and whatnot. So like to have all this was like pretty crazy. And so I finally like gave in and admitted to my friends that I thought I was dying. And it was just like, it was so hard for me to say that. Like,
were they kind of like giggling, like not taking you seriously, or were they more like, okay, this is serious. We gotta figure out what's going on here?
They jumped on it pretty quick. They knew I was serious and that I wouldn't joke about this. And it was like, 2 or 3 a.m. in the morning, that I'm not going to wake them up and just say something. So anyhow, so they called the medics. The medics come in and they check me out and they're going through all my vitals and everything. And they're looking at me and I'm telling this guy the story. I'm telling him, hey, here's my situation. I started this business. I'm kind of proud, I'm a new entrepreneur. I'm like, hey, I'm making, this.
I'm too busy to have something wrong with me right now.
yeah, exactly. And I'm telling this story and this guy just looks at me. I'll never forget the look on his face. He looks at me with pity. Like he wasn't impressed. He wasn't, proud of me, like working 100-hour work weeks, between the two things or whatever. He just looked at me like, really? Like that's fun to you? That's success? And that look was the first time that it really sank in that I was not building the business the right way. I was just hustling. I was just grinding.
So I want to dive into that a little bit more, Austin, because this is a really important topic here because we're so brainwashed in this society that work harder, hustle more. Like you see the memes around it, like you're just not grinding hard enough, like time to get up and grind, like hustle, be busy, go. What do you think of that? And what do you think it is that people are hustling and chasing after?
Yeah. Huge. It's been so crazy that phenomenon has picked up. I get hard work. Trust me, I'm all about working hard. But the thing about business is your business is a tool. It's a tool to create the life that you want.
Totally.
So many people forget that and we get consumed in our business and forget what we even got into business for. People get into business to have freedom to do what the heck they want when they want. They get in business to make a lot of money and have growth. They get into business to have a great lifestyle, to be able to make a big impact. Yet how many entrepreneurs get any of those things, let alone all 4 of those things? So what we've got to do is stop the hustle, be really intentional, really strategic about how we build the business so that you are one of the select few, the 1% or less that actually gets those things out of their business, the freedom, the growth, the money, the impact.
So I want to get into like what you figured out there. But before I do that, I want to go back to like what you think might have caused that for you, because I think what happens is like, let's just say we dive right into now, like, how do you fix it? The person listening, if we don't address what is causing that grind, that need to grind, I don't know that they can typically fix it. So like when that happened to you, that was almost a wake up call for you. Yeah. Did you ever look at like why you were chasing that? Like what that was about? Like, and what were people in your life saying before that happened? Like, were they saying all you do is work? Like, what were you chasing? What were you after?
What I was after was freedom, and it was really about financial freedom for me. I grew up in a place that we did not have a ton of money. There was a little bit of stress within our family about money, like most of the time. And then I go to college and I get this big bill my senior year. And this was one of the most embarrassing, stupid things. I didn't know what this bill was going to be. I knew that I was having college debt. I was just,
Sure.
it was normal. And it was $81,000, Natalie.
Whoa.
$81,000 to, like, before I even started out in the real world, which is a lot of money.
This is your bill for college, or a bill just like stuff you'd racked up?
So 72 was student debt, and then 9 was a car. So 81 total, but most of it was student debt. So I started out, and fortunately I made a lot of money in the corporate world, and I was able to make a lot of money in the past few years, obviously. But starting out the real world, 81K in the hole is like a stressful spot to be. So I had this crazy mission on my mind every single day was, how do I make money to get free? How do I have that peace of mind? So I didn't like, I liked the markets and trading and whatnot, but I got into day trading and building my own algo and doing all this for the money. Like, there was no contribution piece. There wasn't a ton of fun into it besides me trying to figure out the puzzle. I was doing it straight up for money, and that's what I was chasing. So
with money though, you said you were making money or doing well. Why? What was the fear of like turning it off? Like, because were you going to make more money? Was it an hourly? Like, if I shut the computer down, I'm going to make less money. Was it that?
No, it was more of like, there's always more to make. There's always more to make, and that's what we
never enough.
There's never enough. There was never enough. But I forgot what I was even in business for. Just as the example that I shared earlier, which most entrepreneurs do at some point, if not multiple points, if not even for decades, they forget why they're in business. So finally, that anxiety attack situation, that exact same thing happened about 12 months later. And then that's when I really learned it. So I didn't fully learn the lessons of like, hey, I'm not doing it the right way the first time. I had a second anxiety attack, had to call 911. And that's when I was like, okay, there has to be a better, smarter way to do this. And that's when I really started to shift.
So with the first one, you have this like somewhat wake up call, but you're like, okay, that was just an anxiety attack. So you kind of put it in that box, and then you go back to what you know. The second one, did that go to your head? Like, oh, it's just another anxiety attack, or did you think you were having a heart attack this time?
Same exact feelings, same exact thoughts, but I knew that there was something foundationally that I needed to change. Okay. And if I didn't change that foundationally, then I was never going to achieve what I wanted to achieve.
Got it.
So for me, it was actually health. So I had to go back and really understand my health and what was going on and my diet and everything, because it wasn't ever my fitness. It was always other things related to my health that I needed to get right first. And that was just being compounded. And like, as soon as you are stressed out, you're going to not have as good a sleep. And as soon as you not have as good a sleep, then you're going to, have other stresses and whatnot. So it's just this whole self-fulfilling prophecy, either against you or for you, that you really got to understand and get on that positive momentum thing.
It's so funny because, especially coming from like the fat loss space initially, like everyone wants to deal with like how they're eating, how they're working out. And then you compound it with this like hustle so you can be something, right? Yeah. But like stress is the bigger killer than everything. I mean, most diseases are coming from that. So and you're right, sleep fixes so much. And if we're not sleeping, that's a problem.
Yes, sleep is so impactful. But I fixed my diet and I fixed my sleep, and those two things. And then, eventually started to fix alcohol, which is part of the diet. Those three things, I am a totally different person than I was 10 years ago.
So talk a little bit about the alcohol, because I know you mentioned before we started recording that like you also didn't realize how that was wreaking havoc on your life too. So during the time you're working hard and going hustle, you were also partying and drinking.
Yeah. So I grew up in Ohio, and there wasn't a ton to do in the small town that I was from. So at the age of 13, we started just drinking a lot and more and more and more. And I'm a person that I would go pretty hard into most things, and one of those things was alcohol. If I was going to drink, I was going to drink hard. I wasn't going to just have 2 beers. I was going to drink 12 and blackout, or 20 and blackout, whatever the number was at the particular time. So from the age of 13 all the way until 29 years old, I didn't make it more than 14 days without drinking. And most of the time in my 20s, I was partying pretty hard, like at least 2 days a week, if not 3 or 4. And I had these big goals. And I said, here's what I was going to achieve. But here I was, on the other hand, killing myself and poisoning myself and sabotaging my success. And I was hungover for multiple days. Very often I was either hungover or leading to the next hangover. So finally, at the age of 29, after I was traveling and going and seeing some friends and whatnot, and when I was going to see the friends, they thought I was there to party, and so I did. And it was a 10-day bender essentially. And I got done with that 10-day bender and I felt like crap. And I was hungover for like the next 7 days or whatever, that I was like, what am I doing? I have these goals, but here I am like literally killing. There's only one enemy in this equation, and it's my decisions to poison myself. So I gave it up for 60 days. I said, 60 days, I'm not going to drink. And I went and did that. And by the end of 30 days, let alone 60 days, I felt so darn good, Natalie, that I was like, wait, I don't need this thing. And after you get through the first couple weeks, at least for me, I was like, wait, I can live my life and be in these social situations and have a ton of fun and feel amazing. This is totally worth it. So at that point in time, I gave up hangovers for the rest of my life. Now, every once in a while, if it's a wedding or something or celebrating something big, I'll have a couple drinks with somebody. But I have had zero hangovers since that time. I'm 33 now, 29 at the time of the commitment. So almost 4 years. Actually, next month coming up on 4 years, which has been big. And if there's 3 decisions I made in my life, giving up alcohol in the way that I did was definitely one of the top of them.
Okay, so I love that. And I love that you nipped it early in your 20s. It took me, it took me 46 years to figure out about the control and the hustle and all those things. So I'm 48 now and I finally get that. So take us through the process. And so you realize that this is not going to work. I'm assuming it's not an overnight switch, especially like going from work, hustle to what you created now. So take us through the process. Like, what did you do and what can people listening do?
So the first thing that I did is went to the insane extreme. I stopped everything. I quit the corporate world. I put my business on pause, even though it was, pretty much automated and making a lot of money. And I went and traveled. And I did a little mini retirement and I just totally rejuvenated.
Yeah.
And that was the single biggest thing that I've done in my life. And I took 18 months off and I just, I needed months, that break.
You said?
Yeah, I burnt myself
so
out.
Awesome. Yeah.
So bad. And fortunately at that time, finally I had financial freedom. I had that peace of mind that I was so much yearning after with the first business and the hustle, that I just needed a break and I just took time off. And that was the least stressful time of my life. A lot of people think about quitting their job or stopping these big income streams or whatever, or just doing what they've already been doing because they're familiar with it. I just stopped everything. And it was it was just amazing. It was pure freedom. And so I hope everybody feels that. It's kind of like jumping out of a plane where you have like somewhat
done that too. Yeah.
It was kind of like that feeling like, wow, I hope more people in the world can experience this. So that's what I did. And I rejuvenated, recharged. And then I was like, okay, I'm going to build stuff in the future, but I'm going to do stuff that I care about. And then I, am contributing in a way because I worked for a big oil company and then I was doing day trading. Those are not like contributing to the world besides making myself rich,
So you wanted to find purpose and meaning in what you were going to do.
Exactly. And then I was going to build it much more strategically, intentionally, so that I wasn't ever going to burn out in that same way again. And that's where I really started to go into, okay, what does it take to truly build a successful business? And that's what we talk about now. So our greatness here at 2X is like systems and operations. And if we get that right, then you don't need to hustle. Like the system created that these things are repeatable and scalable and easily handed off to other people. And that's what we focus on now, is like a strong foundation of the really important stuff, not the sexy tactics, not the Facebook ads, not different social media things. It's the really important foundational stuff that really matters to build a successful business. And that way you can get what you really want out of business.
Totally.
Growth, the money, everything.
So let me ask you, did this idea come to you when you were traveling and taking this time off? Or was it like after that you were like, okay, now time to get down to business?
It came to me as I was like, not at the beginning, on the second half of this, where I was like, okay, starting to get the energy and I knew I wanted to do something. I started to design and go and learn what is it really going to take so that I would, have a shortcut versus the last time. Because the first time, I just put in the hours and just figured this thing out and did it all myself. 0 employees, 0 coaches, 0 training, pretty much 0 mentors or anything. I read hundreds and hundreds of books on the topics until finally I was like, okay, I got to go put this in. But there's a simpler, better way. And fortunately, that's what I found out. Then it was just like, okay, what's the simplest and easiest way to get this solved, instead of trying to figure it out myself. And that's what so many people do, is they just try to figure out everything themselves because they can. Just because you can doesn't mean you should, right?
So sometimes I find out the most successful companies or successful authors or whatever, it's usually because they're speaking into a topic that they need to master themselves.
Yeah.
And it sounds like almost by you choosing that, it's forcing you to stay in that zone of that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, exactly. And one of the biggest things that we do now is we help people get free from the weeds of their business and make sure they're a true business owner, not stuck in it, or not stuck, but
yeah.
And by teaching that, we ourselves have to be the best in the world at that, so that I'm never stuck in the weeds, so that, I can go on a 4-week vacation and not have to, think about the business.
Yeah. So I want to give some people like a kind of an introduction to that. So in different cases, so let's just say somebody is completely where you are, they're burned out over the wet tops, but finances are really a huge concern. They don't have the luxury of just doing that. What would you tell them first?
Cut back. You've got to look at your expenses and cut back.
So cut your expenses back before you cut back.
Expenses back before, because there's always some low-hanging fruit that we can find from an expense standpoint that is just not moving the needle. One of the first things that we do is we really simplify the business. So many people think that the path to more success and more freedom and more growth in their business is through more. When we actually start, and we will only work with 6 and 7-figure clients. So these are people that already have traction, really successful. And we go in and we cut out as much as we possibly can.
Yeah, because that's a great way to free up cash flow right there. Yeah.
We free up cash flow. We free up a lot of time, and we find things that really aren't that profitable, or things that are a ton of work that aren't producing that much traction. So if we can create a lot more time for the business owner as well as the entire team and focus in on what is truly their greatness and what is truly proven to work already, it's so easy for us to scale, and our clients just crush it with simple strategies because we're freeing up that time. And then they can work less hours, but work on more important stuff instead of being stuck in the weeds or admin stuff or whatever. And it's just very easy to grow. We talk very little about marketing and sales, yet our average client doubles in just 90 days.
So what I find is so many people, they operate, and me included, I'm guilty of this big time, would operate from this place of hustle and urgency and like more. And then we think the way to get out of the hustle and urgency is to have more people or to have the right consultant or a better marketing strategy. So it's just adding more to the plate. So I love what you just said, because I think everyone can take something from that. It's not about adding in and doing more to fix that. Like when I get there, I'll be able to do this. It's about cutting back right now where you are. And I do believe everybody can find ways to cut back.
Absolutely. And one of the most important things that most entrepreneurs overlook because they're too busy is, what are the numbers? Like if you really look at the numbers in detail,
it's scary.
It's going to show you it hurts. It stings at first, right? Yeah. Because a lot of the numbers are horrible. And that's why we don't track them, because we know subconsciously and consciously that like they're not going to be that pretty. But as soon as we look at all the numbers, we're talking about KPIs, which are key performance indicators, as well as most importantly, financials. And if you can break down your business in every main department and look at the numbers in detail, you're going to see, wow, 60% of this is just not worth it. 60% is just not working. And if we can double down on that stuff.
If anyone's listening to this, like saying, okay, first of all, kudos to the people listening that are involved with their numbers. Yeah. But if there's anyone like me that just avoided numbers for exactly why you said, it's like, I didn't want to know. Yeah. That was the single biggest change in my business in a positive way when I started looking at the numbers, because decisions got really easy when you could see the numbers.
Exactly. They're all right there. Like that's the thing, is like business is not that tough. We as humans, and like the way that we make it so much more complex than it needs to be. The numbers tell you everything. Yeah. As long as the numbers are right, like they literally make your life so much easier. They make your managing of your employees so much easier. They make making decisions of like where your time and energy needs to go. They make different investments and everything, strategies, like everything is really clear in the numbers. So it's one of the first 3 steps.
I'll tell you from my perspective too, like I would hang on to people because I like the person, like, but they're working so hard. I like them. But when you look at the numbers and you see, okay, it's feed me or just like this person, like it gets really clear when you start seeing that stuff. So I think if anyone is struggling, especially with their business right now and working too much, like really it's so eye-opening to really dive in and learn those P&Ls and really dive into understanding all those numbers. So I think that's great advice right there. So cutting back on that, what else would you tell people? We're obviously wanting them to free up space. Is there anything you want people to add into their lives to help them free up space?
I want people to add in systems. So if we add in systems are the key to scale. They're the key to repeatability. They're key to get great delegation. They're key to a lot more profitability. And here's the thing is you're already doing all the work. Mm-hmm. You're working your butt off if you're listening to this. And if you're connecting with, what we're talking about here as far as like the hustle and the grind, you're already doing all the work. So what we've got to do is just be intentional about turning that work into a system that can make it easier, better, faster to do next time, as well as that you can hand off to somebody else. Like for instance, let's pick something that you do. Maybe it's you have a blog, right? Mm-hmm. There's several different processes within getting a blog post live, whether it's creating the content, whether it's putting it up on the website, whether it's and you're already doing all the work. Let's record that process as you're going through it, turning it into a step-by-step so that it's so easy to do, so that you as the leader or as the talent can do the easiest part of that or do the least amount of that, hand off everything else. Now we can get 4 blog posts done for the same effort that we used to do just one, because so much of it is either automated or handed off to somebody else to do.
Yes. So here's what I see goes wrong with delegation. And I'm sure you see this too. I see what happens is someone hears, I have too much to do. I need to delegate. So what comes up is nobody can do it as good as me. That's one thing that comes up. Or they think that means somebody has to read their mind. So they go hire somebody. That person doesn't know how to do it because they're not trained properly. And then they think it's a waste of money to hire a person.
Exactly.
That's what I see delegation.
So they reinforce in their mind, I knew it was just going to be quicker and faster if I just do it myself. So they keep just doing it themselves, and they fast forward 3 years and they're in the same spot and they still haven't let go.
So what you're saying, if I'm hearing you correctly, is slow the heck down. Take the time to record what you're doing. Maybe you have to record it very slow and repeat yourself, but train the person on it. And then that might take you 4 times longer right now, but it's going to free up your time later.
But the beautiful thing is it's not going to take you 4 times longer. It's going to take you maybe 20% longer. Here's an example. Let's say that we'll use the blog post example again. So we'll walk through the same exact thing as if I was doing everything myself. But what I'm going to do is use a little tool. It's free. It's called Loom, Loom. And I'm going to record myself. I'm going to record my screen, and I'm going to be talking through as I'm doing this particular thing. I love that. Every step. And then I'm going to hire a virtual assistant in the Philippines for $3 or $5 an hour to take that video and transcribe it into the exact steps with screenshots of what to do step by step, so that you can hire somebody off the street, show them literally step by step what to do. Awesome. And they can't mess it up. You are already doing all the work. Let's just record it, turn it into a process. Now I can just focus on creating the content, hand that to somebody else, and they've got the step by step to follow. Right?
So brilliant. Yeah.
That's one example of a system. Everything in your business should be a system. Everything from sales to hiring to firing to paying people to doing marketing to creating content to uploading a post. Like everything in your business is a system. If you adopt that methodology or that mentality and train that within your team to have it be a culture of like, okay, any issue that comes up, let's solve it with the system so that issue doesn't come up again. It's life-changing. You feel that impact in a matter of days. And the cool thing is like you can change your week. You can save 20 hours a week, 20 plus hours per week in literally a matter of 4 systems or 5 systems.
Yes. Now, I do feel, Austin, I'm curious about you. I do feel there's some things you shouldn't delegate, like your total unique abilities. Like, for instance, I'm recording a podcast with you right now. I'm not going to delegate somebody else interviewing you.
Yep. It depends on your business. Yours is a personal brand. Mm-hmm. We have built our company in a way that there are multiple people. So it's all about what your strategy is. So our brand is 2X. I'm just the face of it most of the time, but we have other people. So it's really dependent on your business model. But the thing is you should put yourself in the things that are your unique ability, but also the things that you want to do. Like at the end of the day, if you're an entrepreneur, it's your business that you can design whatever role that you want. If you want to be doing the podcast and like, that's it,
Yeah.
and writing books, which is a lot of people, like just do those two things. Like that's great, and build out the team around you. For me, I love to create content as well. And that's why, I still aim to face right now at least 60 to 70% of our content. But it's whatever you want. You can design anything.
I love that you're sharing all this. And for those of you listening that are curious about me, this really hit me hard in the last 2 years. And I will say I'm fully live in my unique ability and what I like to do.
Beautiful.
Like I focus, I would say 90% of my time is either working on my vision, creating content. So in the creative. So I like to write, I like to create content, filming, speaking. And I personally like to reach out and connect, and I manage my own schedule because I like doing that. So it's funny because people think they have to do certain things because someone else does. You have to pick the things you like doing. Like I like connecting with people and understanding. I don't want someone else managing my schedule, basically.
Yeah, exactly. And I love team management, and a lot of people hate team management, right? Mm-hmm. So it's like whatever you want, you can design it. But the thing that we teach entrepreneurs to do is to like pick 5 things max that are your responsibilities and own those, because your entire team, sure, everybody in a small business, needs to be able to wear multiple hats. But what you've got to be able to do is like really focus in on what is their ideal role, and starting with yourself. What is your ideal role? And then designing the rest of the team and company around that.
Good. So good. This was so helpful, Austin. I do have another question for you that I ask everybody that's a guest on Leveling Up. If somebody is, because we do share so many stories here on how people grow and create everything from nothing. If somebody's listening right now and they're in their own personal rock bottom, so maybe it is health or the panic attacks that you were dealing with, like stress overload. Maybe it's a real financial nightmare, like everything is just falling apart. Whatever their own personal rock bottom that they're dealing with is, and they know that they need to change, and you were to give them advice on what they need to do to start shifting and growing into creating everything from nothing, what would you tell them?
I would tell them to stop everything that you're doing. Stop stressing out, stop doing more stuff and trying to do more, and go back to what is it that you really want. Go back to the vision, go back to really designing that, because once you design that, you can see what matters and what doesn't. And if you could just continue to remind yourself of what you really want. And people will use general terms at first, but if you keep asking yourself why and really understand fundamentally what you actually want, like people say, I want to be a millionaire in the next 2 years, and they're at 0, or I want to have a 7-figure business or whatever, and they've never made $1 or whatever. It's like, all that's just general numbers. What do you really want? Okay, I want peace of mind. I want a great family life. I want love. I want these things. And as soon as you really start to define it in detail, then it's like, okay, what's the simplest and most direct path to getting that? What things am I doing that are helping me go directly there? What other things are just like not essential? And if you can understand that and make things simple, as we talked so much about today, that's going to just make you really A, get to your goals much faster, but also B, take a lot of stress off.
So good.
So we've got to figure out where we want to go, and we've got to make things simple to get there, cut out everything else, and you're going to just have a lot more fun on the ride.
I love this. Where can people find you? I know on Instagram you are Austin Netzley.
I'm just at Netzley.
At Netzley, Netzley. And then what about, where are you other places? Where's your website? Where do you want people to find you?
Yep. Our website is scale2x.com. That's SCALE 2x.com. We also have a lead gen service called 2xleadsmachine.com. And then on Facebook, I think if you search Scale2x, that'll show us our Facebook group and our business page. We've got a ton of free content out there for business owners. So I'd love to connect. So
amazing. Thank you so much, Austin.
Absolutely. Thanks, Natalie.
Thanks for leveling up with us today. Please share this episode if you found it helpful so others can join in. And don't forget to hit that subscribe so you don't miss out on future shows. And if you would leave me a 5-star review, I appreciate those so much. I read all of them, and it's how I know that I'm giving you information that you find valuable. And come interact with me over on Instagram at Natalie Jill Fit. I read all the direct messages and comments over there. Make it a great day, creating everything from nothing.